Hey guys, some breaking news in the Bianco versus Marilyn Manson case in a new filing by Manson's attorneys. They are asking the federal judge to put a pretty good sized lump of coal in Bianco's stocking this Christmas. Specifically, they're asking the court to freeze the case, to stay it, to stop all proceedings in the case. How can Manson do that? This case has been going on for a long time. Why don't they just finish it? Nothing in the legal system ever finishes. Yeah, that's all true. Well, let's talk about it for a moment so you know what's going on. One of the things Bianco did in her case was allege a violation of federal law, saying that she was trafficked, that Manson had trafficked her in violation of federal law. That has a couple of things that go along with it. One, it can provide a federal court with jurisdiction over the case, which the federal court has. So the federal court has taken this case and all the associated state court claims along with it, so far at least. One of the other things it did, though, and probably a primary reason to allege it, assuming the facts fit, is that it came with a 10-year statute of limitations. And all the accusers in the Manson cases have faced issues with statute of limitations because the allegations stem from things they say happened so long ago. In Bianco's case, almost a decade ago. Well, that trafficking claim in federal court has a little proviso to it, and there's a section that reads this: any civil action filed under subsection A shall be stayed during the pendency of any criminal action arising out of the same occurrence in which the claimant is a victim. So any civil action, and the courts generally mean, yeah, if you've got a case, no matter whether it involves more than just one claim, so you've got this trafficking claim plus another claim, it's all coming out of the same occurrence. That's the civil action, and it'll be stayed. That means it gets frozen as long as it's out of the same occurrence. In other words, if the criminal action involves the same sort of things that are in the civil action can be and should be stayed. A criminal action is defined as including a criminal investigation. So Manson's attorneys are alleging that they know now that Bianco was a complaining witness in the case against Manson to the sheriff's department that is now headed over to the DA's office. A complaining witness is someone who alleges a violation of the law. That's in the declaration by Blair Burke, who says she's represented Manson for about 2 years in these criminal cases. She has spoken with Detective Van Dyke, and Van Dyke has confirmed that Bianco is a complaining witness and that the allegations she's made covers the things that are in the civil suit. Manson's attorneys also say that the newspaper articles show that the time frame of the allegations made against him cover the time frame that Bianco's talking about. And then Howard King says, hey, when I've spoken to the plaintiff's attorney has also told me that they have spoken with the sheriff's department about the allegations in this complaint. So this state provision was originally requested by the Department of Justice, saying that civil discovery could interfere with their criminal investigations. So the gold standard for getting a stay is the government intervenes and says, hey, we're doing an investigation, or hey, we've got a case against this person, so you need to stay this case, and the court will certainly do it. Courts have been reluctant to allow a defendant to come forward and say, you know, I think I'm under investigation. I'm probably under investigation. Can we just stop this whole case? Courts have denied stays in cases like that. And sometimes it's hard to get the law enforcement agencies to let you know whether you're actually under investigation or not. So if the defendant is the one asking for the stay, then the defendant needs to convince the court that there is this criminal investigation going on that covers the same stuff. So the only thing I can think is that assuming that Bianco wants to contest this, is that her attorney will come back and say, no, they haven't really shown that she's part of this investigation. And how are they going to do that? One of two ways would be to have her do an affidavit saying, I've never made a criminal complaint against Marilyn Manson. Well, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? I don't think that's going to happen. The second would be to say, well, we don't have to speak on it because it's up to Manson to convince you that there is this criminal investigation. They haven't done it because they're only relying on newspaper articles and hearsay from detectives and things like that. And that's an argument. I'm not going to say it's a bad argument, but I don't think it's a winning argument. To me, Manson has made the case that, listen, there is obviously an investigation, criminal investigation that was going on. The victims asked for it. The alleged victims asked for it. They got it. The sheriff's department has mentioned it, has talked with Manson's attorney. Other attorneys have said that this is ongoing. And you've got a member of the bar telling the court, I spoke with this detective, and the detective said that Bianco is a complaining witness and has made these allegations against Manson to law enforcement that cover the same activities that she put in her lawsuit. You got another member of the bar, Howard King, saying that he's spoken with the plaintiff's attorney, and they confirmed that Bianco has been in discussions with the sheriff's department. He doesn't say that Elvanger confirms that she was a complaining witness, but that's what Burke does in her declaration. And then, of course, the DA tweets out, hey, look, we're looking at getting this case, and it's complex, and we'll be looking at it and all that stuff. So to me, there's no doubt that there's an investigation going on and a potential prosecution, no decision made, but that's an investigation. And it seems to me they've made their case that Bianco is involved in that investigation and covers the allegations that are in her complaint. And if those things are true, then the court should exercise the statute and stay this case. So you got the competing contention of law enforcement may need it, and no law enforcement has intervened here, which they could have. They could have gone to federal court and said, hey, we're doing an investigation on this. Will you stay it? Nobody's done that. Then you have the defendant coming up and saying, well, I want it stayed. And courts have said, well, we don't really like the idea that defendants can stop this if it's not hurting law enforcement. But Manson cites plenty of authority to say, however, if the defendant can show that this investigation covers these things, then it should be stayed. He's got cases to show that. So I don't know what Bianco will say in response to this. I would think that the main line of attack will be they haven't established to the court that there is an investigation covering what she said. But I think just making that argument probably will not win because of the plain language of the statute. So maybe they'll have something better there. I don't know what communications that Bianco has had with law enforcement. For all we know, they could have told her, well, we've investigated what you've said, but we're not going to proceed with it. We're still working on other things. And that, of course, if they were to make that statement, would knock this out because there wouldn't be an investigation covering it anymore. That's all hypothetical. We just have to see what her response is, because the consequences of not rebutting what Manson's doing here is the case gets stayed until the DA finally makes a decision. And if the decision is to go forward and this case is stayed, then the case would stay stayed, right, until the criminal action is completely over. Now, if the DA says, nope, we've closed the books on this, it's not going to happen, there's no more investigation, then the case could resume at that time. But as everybody has seen, nobody in the legal system on either side of it is in much of a hurry to do anything. So if this case gets stayed, it may stay that way for a while. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I assume that Bianco's attorney will respond to this in a pretty rapid fashion. Thanks. Bye.